You're watching KHQA Overtime with Chris Duerr, working for you.
And this is Saturday, March the 16th, and you have indeed entered overtime. A happy early St. Patrick's Day to you, and welcome to our first full-scale weekend of spring sports action. But we begin tonight with one last look back at the high school basketball season and our final act here of KHQA Awards Week with the naming of our Boys Player of the Year, or in this case, players plural, because this one was more than a little complicated and more complicated than most. Some 18 years ago, hopelessly deadlocked in our Player of the Year discussion between Van Far's Mike Smith and Liberty's Justin Brock, we opted for a one-time only sharing of the honor and vowed not to open that Pandora's box again. Because at that time, declaring co-winners admittedly felt a little like the coward's way out of a tough decision. Reinvoking a dual winners option now 2 decades later comes from an admittedly different place. The gnawing notion that not honoring the accomplishments of 2 equally deserving recipients for very different reasons felt unconscionable. That we are even in this predicament in itself is a credit to Winchester West Central's Zach Evans. His own kind of hostile takeover, if you will, of an award that has been the sole property of someone else since before Christmas. State championship runs, however, have a funny way of making you rethink what you thought you already knew. And if the measure of a player's greatness in this game is how far they drive their team towards its stated goals, well then nobody in tri-state basketball anywhere accomplished more this winter than Evans. The Cougars' senior guard capped his high school career as the power source for a team that won 36 of 39 games and ultimately the biggest prize in 1A basketball. Along the way, Evans eclipsed the magic 2,000 point mark for his career, averaging nearly 21 points per game as a forest fire scoring sensation. Despite being one of the highest usage players in the entire region, Zach converted shots at near 49% efficiency from the field. Considering that he took some 186 total attempts from beyond the arc, that is staggeringly impressive as a metric and speaks to just how effective Evans has been around and going to the basket. He drilled 57 total triples for the year, but his game was more than just burning the nets. Zach Evans netted the Cougars nearly 6 rebounds and 3 assists nightly, as well en route to first-team All-State accord from both the Illinois Coaches Association and the media. His game-deciding work in the Super Sectional against Illini Bluffs demonstrated his unflinching physicality for a guard. His bounce back from a truly forgettable first half in the state semifinals against Aurora Christian and subsequent career-ending magnum opus in the championship game win over Mounds Meridian, a credit to his resilience. It was a body of work that will forever install Zach Evans as a legend, perhaps the legend of note in one of the most avidly basketball-loving communities in the state of Illinois. And it is why he is here as your 2024 KHQA Player of the Year. If Zach Evans was the most accomplished player in tri-state basketball this year, Bradley Longcord III was its most dazzling overall talent, perhaps to an extent that even his most fervent admirers did not previously fathom, until he crashed a party that wasn't supposed to be his and stole the spotlight from some of the nation's most touted blue-chip talent. BL3 has been special since he debuted in a Quincy High uniform. Getting to play compare and contrast with his game the weekend of the Quincy shootout, however, made expressly clear that Bradley takes a backseat to no one. There may be higher volume scorers or more spectacular dunkers out there, but the breadth of BL3's game skills and his ability to control a team, a game, a critical scenario ranks with anyone anywhere. See also the near universal raves from the talent scouts and internet bird dogs BL3 drew the weekend from those discovering him in person for the first time. And therein really is the basketball joy of the BL3 experience. His numbers are utterly sensational, but also perhaps the poorest possible metric of just how organic and natural he is within a winning team dynamic. It's the work itself and how he goes about it that puts Bradley on a very different plane. There may be no more greatness certifying stat in tri-state basketball this season than BL3 draining nearly 80 total triples on some 47% accuracy. There may be no single greater weapon in our local game than Bradley dropping threes as casually and easily as centers and power forwards rimming home 2-footers. Again, that is merely a facet of the overall package. On balance, Longcore scored 16 points per game on 55% total accuracy from the field. He also initiated offense and helped accent the talents of his teammates with perceptive, accurate, and unselfish passing. And the rise of all of his teammates, but in particular his all-state center, Keyshawn Thomas, is a testament to his unselfishness. He rebounds, he defends, and he seemingly never loses control of that he seeks to manage. While most people will forever remember the gutting finish to Quincy High's season, what is too casually forgotten is that the Blue Devils would not have even been in the position to beat Normal Community late game had BL3 not canned a critical three and found a wide-open Dom Clay on the wing to turn team deficit into lead. We simply have not seen a player of this polish in our midst before, and certainly not this young. Scarier still, BL3 has another year to grow as legend. And it is our honor as well to salute Bradley Longcore III as our KHQA 2024 Co-Player of the Year in concert with Zach Evans. I can't imagine we'll ever again have two more deserving basketball talents or better representatives of the sport within our culture and within our area.
The season it was, and that wraps up all of our basketball coverage, but we still have a bit more material to tide you over coming up on the internet. Yes, I anticipate our girls All Do or Die's honors team hitting KHQA's website probably within the next 72 hours. It's almost done, maybe as early as tomorrow. The boys, I've got to admit, hasn't been written yet, just haven't had the time, but I'm going to do my best to get that to you within the next 2 weeks. Again, I'll keep you all appraised of when we do that coming up on social media. We've got more overtime ahead, including me having to drive an hour and a half today plus to watch a Quincy High Q&D baseball game. We'll tell you the story straight ahead.
You're watching KHQA Overtime with Chris Duerr, working for you.
Welcome back to Overtime, everybody. And if you wanted to see Blue Devil versus Raider baseball today, you had to drive to Springfield, Illinois to do it as part of the Sacred Heart Griffin Slam. Brady Lowe, worth the price of admission today. Man, was he good on the bump. The fastball finisher to open, then a couple of pitches that just had ridiculous movement on them. He struck out the side for the Raiders to open the first for Quincy High School. Bottom of the first, getting some help. It's Kyle Taylor right here with a single over second base, putting two aboard. The attempted Owen Zanger throw to kill a steal attempt hits the second baseman in the head. That's going to roll all the way out and allow, yes, Evan Sohn to score a little bit later in this one. Another big piece of hitting right there by the guy, Brady Lowe himself, to help his own cause. It's 2-0 Quincy High School after the first inning. Things would kind of stay there for a while in this game. Nick Spears had a lot to do with that. What a gun he has behind the plate. Beautiful throw out right there. Then the defense tightened for Q&D as well as Nolan Robb comes up with a nifty play. 5-3 double play for the Raiders in this particular juncture. I mentioned Nick Spears. He not only threw out one runner, he not only threw out two Blue Devil runners, he would toss out three today behind the plate. That youngster looks like he's got a cannon and showing it off today. I think that's sensational seven worthy. You may catch that coming up on Monday. Meanwhile, Brady Lowe having none of it. He just continued to work, allowed just 2 hits in 5 innings with 12 strikeouts. Q&D would get one run back here in the top of the fourth with base running opportunism. The throw down to second, not good enough, unfortunately, or not handled well enough. Allows the run to score, and the Raiders have the lead. And you know what? Good stuff right here from Abram Wewell, who pitched really well as well. He had 5 strikeouts and no earned runs to this point in the game. Back-to-back Ks, if you will. But in contrast, Brady Lowe still cruising as well on the hill. Good D behind him helped some as well. As you're going to see at the shortstop position, Mr. Kyle Taylor do it yet again. This time off the bounce after it eludes one infielder. He's going to make that stand up, and it's still 2-1 at this point. Bottom of the fifth, Q&D intentionally walked Tykel Hammers to put a runner at first base, which was unoccupied, and that didn't set well with this guy. Brady Lowe doing it all today. Turns out to be the game-winning RBI, puts his team up 3-1 in this one. In comes Jansen Lawson to close things out. He was very effective. He had 4 strikeouts and 2 innings worth of work. That's 16 strikeouts on the day for Quincy High pitchers. Not a bad day at the office, not a bad way to bounce back today as the Blue Devils get the win over Q&D 3-1 in a bit of a thriller. Again, worth the drive and plenty of fun. Earlier in the day, Quincy High School finally got its debut after getting down to Belleville East this week and only getting to play like 9 pitches. Down in this one, 8-2, but check this out. Garrett Smith with his first career home run, hitting out of the 9-hole right here. Deep to right field. It's a 2-run shot, made it 8-4. That would be as close as it would get, but Mr. Smith, very impressive today. Also had a big hit in the second game against Q&D as well. Unfortunately for the Blue Devils, they would lose this contest by the final count of 8-4. So as it stands right now, the Blue Devils with 2 games, I believe both at home this week, are now 1-1 on the season. The Raiders, unfortunately, are 0-3. Things have not started out quite right for Q&D. Still early today in their second game, taking on Sacred Heart Griffin. That was all Sacred Heart Griffin. Final score in that contest was 17-1 in favor of SHG. Pittsfield, touted as one of the best returning teams in our area. They've got plenty of pitching. They played 2 today. The first game came against Staunton in this one, and man, what a good day on the bump for Connor Allen to start this thing. Low fastball in the zone, then another here with some tail, then some high heat. He would strike out the side in the first inning, but Connor Allen not happy with himself, gave up a double in the frame. Was a little tough on himself about first pitch strikes. Yeah, you can see him explaining it, but he would bounce back in the second and strike out the side yet again. He had a monster day. More on him in just a second. The offense would finally pick him up a bit in the bottom of the third. It's Isaac Helms doubling to center. Young man has a little hustle to him because that probably should have just been a single. Nice bit of base running. Sets the table for Brendan Tomhave with a couple aboard. Tomhave lays down the perfect bunt out of the 2-hole in the lineup, and he's going to break things up at first base to load the bases. That sets up Justin Pennick, who's going to do some nice work right here. First pitch he sees, 2-run single, right back over second base. 2-0 Saukeys at this point. That's really all on the day Connor Allen would need, but he'd get much more, not just on the day, but in the frame alone. Helping his own cause right here with a fielder's choice. That's enough to get the run home and make it 3-0 at that point. Then Hayden Gratton, who had a nice day as well, going to step up and extend that lead. Still here in the third inning with an RBI single. Then it's Draven Puterbaugh at the plate with Mr. Gratton standing on base. He's going to put one in play. Just some great base running here by Gratton. He's going to score, make it a 5-0 lead. On the day, the Saukeys put 10 runs on the board, 5 of them in this frame. Story of the day, though, Connor Allen. 3-hit shutout, struck out 12. He is as good as advertised. Pittsfield wins 10-0. And then later in the day, Pittsfield got way, way behind Havana. And man, did they stage some kind of comeback in this contest, winning 10-9. Brennan Tomhave with a walk-off 3-run double to make that happen. The Saukeys are now 3-0 on the season, playing again coming up, I believe, on Monday. Camp Point Central trying to stop Sherrard's reign of terror today in a 2-gamer in Adams County. This one against Sherrard at Mendon Unity. Tanner Kinehart dealing early on, strikes out the Sherrard batter looking right here, and another strikeout in the arsenal as well. Sherrard's bats red hot against Unity and Quincy Notre Dame earlier this week. That was good stuff from Kinehart. Top of the third, Sherrard's Cooper Thomas going to one-hop one to the fence. It's an RBI double, and Sherrard takes a 1-0 lead. Trailing 2 with 2 on, Nate Peters going to snag a hard-hit ball that touches third and gets the double play to get his team out of any further jam, at least at this point. So Central being resourceful and then finding some offense of their own in this game. Bottom of the fourth, Connor Griffin, I should say, going to put the ball in play right here. Throw to first, gets away. Griffin to second. That sets up Mason Miller, who's already been a hero once this week in that big comeback win over Brown County. The hard poke, Mr. Griffin is going to stumble, not able to score. Miller ends up at second. Going to set up the big fella, Reese Wilkie, going to the first base side. The ball will not be fielded cleanly. That puts a run in, and then after a wild pitch, Cole Peterson is going to drive in 2 more runs. A little Pete fun in this one, but to no avail. Central falls to Sherrard 9-4. Sherrard has just been absolutely killing it in Adams County. Earlier in the day, Sherrard would beat up on Mendon Unity, who actually has gotten off to a pretty darn good start to this season. Sherrard just a different animal today. They win by the final count in that game. Well, I'll get you that score in a second. Let's start out with Route Catholic off in Memphis, not Missouri. Memphis, Tennessee playing a couple of games this week. Today, they travel all the way to Tennessee to play Champaign Central. But still, you got to take it. Route gets the win. Conrad Charpentier with another brilliant pitching performance. He's 2-0 on the season. And I don't believe he's allowed a run yet in his 2 starts against Camp Point Central or Champaign Central, beating up on the Centrals. Also, Route played a second game and blew out Tipton Rosemark Academy. From what state they are, I have no idea. Couldn't find anything. But Talon Thompson, the youngster, showing out in this game. 2 for 3 at the plate, a home run and 6 RBIs. He is going to lobby to play Tipton Rosemark wherever in the country they are for the next 3 years in his career. All right, I mentioned the Unity Slam today. Sherrard over Unity, 13-1. No more need be said about that. Moberly a winner today over Clark County. 5-1 was your final there. I did not get any scores today from the Troy tournament, so unfortunately I can't tell you what happened with Hannibal today. If somebody has those and wants to pass those along either via social media or email, I'll try to get those out on the web or something. A couple of softball games to pass along to you today as well. Macomb, what a home debut for them. Remember, they went on the road and beat up on Brown County earlier this week. Well, they beat up on Monmouth United today. 11 first-inning runs. Ellie Duncan, 3 for 4 at the plate with 5 ribbies in the win for the Lady Bombers. Illini West goes on the road to Greenfield Northwestern. I believe Illini West is now 2-0 on the season as well, getting a big win over Greenfield Northwestern. 7-5 is your final, and we'll have more overtime with some soccer. Yes, the debut of a new era at Quincy Notre Dame, straight ahead.
You're watching KHQA Overtime with Chris Duerr, working for you.
And welcome back to Overtime, my friends. We have been following the continued success of the Kinderhook Western 8th grade volleyball squad. State semifinals this morning. They took care of their business, beating up on LaSalle Trinity Christian 25-18, 25-19. State championship game was this afternoon. Unfortunately, Kinderhook Western ran into a buzzsaw in the defending state champs today, losing that contest 2-1 as we advance the scoreboard there. To tell you that Kinderhook Western lost to Pontiac St. Mary's 2-1. The Saints win their second straight, but what a year for Anna Heckler and company. We already talked about basketball at Kinderhook and how good that's been on the girls' side at the junior high level. Now volleyball as well. Lots of good excitement brewing in that community. Speaking of good excitement, Mark Thomas, his debut now as the head coach of that vaunted Quincy Notre Dame soccer powerhouse, taking on Elias Catholic today at home. And yes, 27 minutes to play in the first half. Lily Schutte is going to deliver a corner kick, and Michaela Patton, as part of a momentum force towards the goal, going to knock it in for the first goal of the game and of the season. It's 1-0. Q&D would not take long to strike again, and in familiar manner in this time. Just minutes later, 18 minutes, 9 minutes at that point, Lily Schutte with the cross. Again, this is received by Addie Flesh. She's going to find the back of the net as well. Elias would answer with 2 unanswered to tie this thing. It would be Lily Schutte with the penalty kick in the second half to put it away. Q&D victorious in Mark Thomas's coaching debut, 3-2. Good stuff for the Lady Raiders as they kick off the season in very good stead. Speaking of being off to a good start in this soccer season, the Macomb girls appear to be one of the more improved teams in the entire region. They made it all the way to the championship game today of the East Peoria tournament, beating Canton 2-0. Kylie Robinson, you remember her from obviously her basketball exploits as an outstanding point guard for Macomb. She had 2 more goals today. I think she's probably got like 9 already in the early season. Really good stuff for her. Unfortunately, Macomb falls in the championship match to a really good Lincoln squad, 2-0 to settle for second place. College news today, John Wood having a rough go of it on the baseball diamond at home, taking on Lincoln Land and getting drubbed twice. A huge 8th inning in the first game for Lincoln Land was the difference maker. Quincy University at Maryville in baseball today. A split today by the same score. QU wins the first game 9-5, drops the second 5-9. Quincy University, the best they can do, having lost on Friday, is to even the series at 2-2 in the final game coming up tomorrow. Good day for Culver Stockton. They get the win and the sweep over Mo Valley on the road. 6-4 in the first contest. Tristan Meny, the pride of John Wood Community College, 3 for 4 in that game with 3 ribbies, and 11-4 in the second game. And of news and note, obviously, as we have kept track of Maya Mershman, the former Central Lee High School stars, tremendous career at Clark University. Clark University will not be repeating, I should say, as the women's NAIA national champs. They lose to Dakota Wesleyan tonight by the final count of 78-72. And we'll have more overtime coming your way straight after this.
You're watching KHQA Overtime with Chris Duerr, working for you.
Well, that about wraps it up for this edition of Overtime. And as we mentioned earlier, that wraps up a tremendous state championship winning, in one case, high school basketball season. Our congratulations to Zach Evans on a wonderful high school career. Our congratulations to Bradley Longcore on perhaps coming back and repeating next year as the KHQA Player of the Year. Same holds true on the women's side for Lauren Miller. She's got a chance to do so as well. A lot of talent, both that junior class moving up, and as you will find out on the do or die teams, especially on the girls' side, sophomores and freshmen and eighth graders coming in. Man, we're going to be loaded next winter. Plenty of fun still to be had out there. Zach Richardson has a marvelous Sensational 7 coming your way and all-star basketball highlights tomorrow. He'll see you then. I'll see you right back here on Monday.